because of the.
Hey, what were you gonna say, John? I gotta know now.
I do too.
Nothing.
I do too. That's
Hopefully,
all
it got recorded on the audio so I can hear it.
Mm.
Oh,
and then
no.
you'll share with me so I can understand what.
Yeah, I'll post it for all the Patreon subscribers.
Thank
I
you.
don't even know what they're signing up for.
That's right. Yeah. Hey, this week, John, with Marcus's permission, I posted the vitamin explanation from the beginning of the show.
Yes.
Hey,
Awesome.
welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. My name is Will, and joining me, as always, are my friends and co-hosts, Kat and John. Hey, guys.
Hey guys.
Hello, fam.
And hey to everyone that's joining us on the live right now as we record this episode on YouTube and Facebook and also Twitch. Come follow us on Facebook to know when, where, how you can follow along.
And why?
Hey, Chad. Hey, Karen.
We
That's
might
always
never know the
the-
why.
Chad says, here for once on time. Yes, welcome. You just made it. We just closed
Me
the door.
too.
That's right. Whew.
What did you say, John?
I said, me too.
Oh,
I
you
also
too.
got here on time this time.
Made it. Yeah. Hey, on today's show, we'll review current news stories related to 1980s media, including Blockbuster Video, The Restaurant? Huh?
Mm.
I realize now I'm just going to say a bunch of things maybe that are just, not a bunch. All right. The Lost Boys, The Musical,
Mm.
Dolly Parton, The Musical. And then, no one's
Okay,
confused
makes
about that. What about the crossover? The Lost Boys versus Dolly Parton.
Oh, I know who would win that.
Dolly
Wow.
Parton.
I mean,
It's Dolly all the way.
Yeah, I'd vote on Dolly too.
Oh yeah.
We're also going to chat about how Steven Spielberg stopped an E.T. sequel that maybe he wanted to make originally. I don't know.
He's waffling. Will, you're
you have to
muted.
do that out loud.
That was weird. The StreamYard does not want to hear what I'm saying.
But my first instinct, Will's messing with us. That was my first
Oh no,
instinct.
that was
I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to act like I'm unfazed by the fact that I can't hear you.
because I was bitching about StreamYard.
What?
And I said I'm going to
They mute
switch.
you?
Yeah, I told them I'm
Yeah.
going to switch to some other service.
Speech recognition.
It was
Say
an
something
auto
bad
mute.
about StreamYard.
And triple the price and have the customer service.
Oh.
Give you zero additional value. Anyway, back to the show. We'll cut in on here. And we'll also chat about the new Paul Reubens documentary, Pee-wee as Himself. There's time codes and notes. If you want to skip around, do me a favor. Do two things. One, check out John's show, Gen X Grown Up. It's a podcast and a YouTube channel. Also, while you're here, though, listening to this show, follow us on whatever platform you're listening to us right now.
Yes.
Bonus points
Yeah.
if you go to Facebook, YouTube, and subscribe and follow all those stuff. It's free. It's all free.
Yeah.
Don't be scared.
And leave a review if you're bored, if you're listening and have nothing else to do.
Right.
Those make a big difference. You don't ask people often enough for those reviews, and they're really, really powerful.
Yes. It's really true. Yeah, it makes the algorithm think, hey, we should tell other people about this show. Otherwise, they don't tell anybody about anything.
Keep it a big secret.
You know,
Like
John-
what Will was telling us when he got muted.
Yeah. Well, no, it's really what John was going to say. I don't know what he was going to say.
That actually,
Yeah.
yes. is.
Kyle says, here I am on Facebook, so I can censor will and will only. Now, while Kyle mentioned a while ago that he was going to give us a list of things that I am not allowed to say.
Oh.
I'm guessing because I say them so often, or because they're offensive, or maybe they just hurt Kat's feelings. Because Kyle, I think, is very protective of Kat.
Really?
But I still don't have that list yet. So good luck, Kyle.
He might
Everything's on
put
the
it in a
table.
comment, Kyle, right now. Just put it in a comment.
Oh, and Chad says just left listening Gen X to come here. Yes, one more. Down with Gen X. Long live 1980s now. Hey, Brandon. All right, cool. Hey, let me switch a screen so I can make some musical things, and we'll get started.
Okay.
Hey, let's get started on 1980s news. All right, check this out. I think this is interesting.
Oh, yeah.
As reported by Screen Crush, is Blockbuster planning a revival as a nightclub? Whatever. First, Blockbuster turns out is nearly 40 years old. It opened in Dallas, Texas in October of 1985. So this is its 40th anniversary this year. At the time, it opened with an inventory of a mere 8,000 VHS and 2,000 Betamax videotapes. Look at that. In 85, they still were stocking Beta. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a timestamp for you right there. The fact that they had Betamax at all.
Yes.
Our first unit was a Beta, and my dad already in the early 80s, because he got all the audio video magazines and would read all that stuff through the internet. This is the best quality.
It is. He was right.
Oh, yeah. But what defeated Betamax ultimately, John? You probably know.
Pornography.
Yeah, porn. It always,
Really?
It came down to the duration you could put on a Betamax. And because you only put like 45 minutes or 60 minutes or something on a Betamax at that quality because of the density and the speed and everything. And, most of your quality porn is like 75, 80 minutes long. And you're not going to ship it on 2 Betamax. And so it's cheaper to put on the less expensive VHS, right, Kat? And so therefore people were buying VHS players to watch Wow Chicka Wow Wow. And now that they had it, they would rent other movies in that format, and that led to its eventual victory over Betamax. Yeah.
Suddenly Kat's not pulling anything out of her supply of nostalgia.
You're pulling Betamax or a porn tape or something in reach.
Yeah.
If I went downstairs, I could get a VHS tape, but it probably has Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or the Monkees on it.
Yeah, and thinking about that porn thing, that excuse me. Thinking about that, how you've explained the difference between Beta and VHS, that means in the early 1980s, we were seeing low-res porn when there was a higher quality that we could have watched.
Listen,
That's where your mind goes?
360 by 240 was fine for me when I was downloading for BBSs, so really the quality wasn't the issue.
Right, and we talked about that dot matrix thing you printed out before. So initially, David and Sandy Cook used the proceeds from the sale of a prior business that David had to open a Video Works franchise. But when the parent company wouldn't allow them to decorate the interior of their franchise with blue and yellow colors, they said, screw you, Video Works. We're starting our own thing, and we're calling it Blockbuster.
Yeah, we're big Cub Scout fans.
Is that blue and yellow?
Yes.
Okay,
yes. Those are, yes.
I think about Best Buy now when I hear blue and yellow or see blue and yellow, but I don't know. But just 2 years after that, in 1987, they already had 19 locations throughout the area. And at that time, a baron of waste management, a gentleman named Wayne Huizinga, I'll say, purchased a controlling interest in the burgeoning chain, and the Cooks left shortly thereafter. And following the business model of McDonald's founder Ray Kroc, Huizinga.
You're making up all these names.
I feel like this isn't that what is that what that superhero says when he turns from a little kid into a superhero? Huizinga. That's something else, I think.
You're thinking of Shazam.
Oh, yes, right, Shazam. Right. Wait, isn't that what you have?
I am so lost.
Following the business model of McDonald's founder Ray Kroc. Okay. Huizenga built the company into a multi-billion-dollar industry by the end of the 1990s. You know, I found this little side note that's interesting and a precursor to what we're about to talk about right now. In the 1990s, Blockbuster actually attempted to expand its offerings. At that time, they operated an indoor theme park called Block Party, where, according to Park Rover's website, guests could enjoy a, quote, city street theme with high-tech attractions designed for 18 to 45-year-olds, end quote. But instead, according to Review Time, the destination became a, quote, hotspot for rowdy 20-somethings, end quote, and flopped.
And it is then to those 20-somethings they're marketing this new Blockbuster nightclub.
Yeah, you're right. That are now 40-somethings, etc.
Right. Now they can't get so rowdy. Okay, finally we're ready for you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Come on back.
Of course, more recently, in spite of its efforts, Blockbuster couldn't keep up with the age of digital streaming services and filed for bankruptcy in 2010.
Yep.
Now, famously, of course, as you guys know, there is still one Blockbuster opened. That's in Bend, Oregon.
Yes.
Is it still there? Still?
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
still there. And
I keep hearing rumors of it's on the ragged edge of any day now, but I'm glad it's still around.
Yeah, to my knowledge and my latest research, it's still open. But the store, which is opened by Ken and Debbie Tischer, it doesn't rent videos anymore. It seems like 80% of their revenue comes from selling merchandise.
Okay.
It turns out the DVD vendors that previously supplied them with movies have gone out of business or have minimums now that this, mom and pop shop can't afford to purchase.
That's also the gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas's business model. Like, if you visit the Pawn Stars store in Vegas,
is that right?
Half of it is now Pawn Stars memorabilia, merchandise, T-shirts, and stickers, and the other half is a pawn shop now. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And they have a separate register for if you're checking out of the Pawn Stars store, and then one up front for the gold and silver pawn shop. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Kind of the tail wagging the dog scenario, just like with that Blockbuster. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Oh, Marcus and Kyle both point out that Wayne Huizenga owned some professional sports teams. Yeah, I don't know what those are. I'm not a sports guy, but anyway, today, here's the news today. We tell you all that to tell you this, because according to an Instagram post from a user named Black Millionaires, the owner of the I almost said Blackbuster now.
No.
The owner of the Blockbuster trademark has filed an application for the use. Oh, shit. Hey, guys, can we back up for 1 second? Seriously.
Sure. No problem.
I forgot one thing I wanted to do.
You're editing. We don't care.
Okay, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. Fuck. Fuck.
Oh. Well, that's a good reason to back up. There's going to pull stuff out of the trash.
He's reaching in the trash.
You know I did. All right, this is what I wanted to say. Shit. Okay.
Before he did a portmanteau creating racial epithets, he meant to do.
Marcus just wrote, "Will canceled in 5, 4, 3." Yeah. Okay. So this is after I list the different things we're going to talk about. So Paul Reubens is the last one, and we're going to chat about the new Paul Reubens documentary, Pee Wee as Himself. Oh, and in honor of that, this is what I want to do, okay? Because I love Pee Wee Herman, I love Paul Reubens, I love Pee Wee's Playhouse. In fact, we just had a guest on recently, Kate McKinney, who talked about some really interesting things that she, learned about the deeper meanings that she was able to extrapolate, learn that really existed, in the show, and how it was, sort of predicted some of the things that we are dealing with today, or maybe how we can address them. Anyway, check out that interview. But what I want to say is, because I love Paul and Pee Wee so much, today suggest we have a secret word, just like they had on Pee Wee's Playhouse. And the secret word for today is new. N-E-W, not new as in knowledge, but new as in something brand new. Of course, whenever we hear the secret word. Yes, thanks, Kat.
No problem.
All right, back to this. Now in 5 seconds you'll know why I just went back up.
Okay.
Because I have them all marked off on my script. All right.
Highlighted.
Well, according to, thanks everybody for putting up with this. Let's see. Well, according to a recent Instagram, now I get a chance not to get canceled. Well, according to a recent Instagram post from the user Black Millionaires, And now I'm hoping it's really Black Millionaires and not Block Millionaires.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
No, it's Black Millionaires. I read it a few times.
Okay.
Right.
The owner of the Blockbuster trademark has filed an application to use the brand in a new non-video rental. Okay. Jesus Christ. Out of control.
You did it to yourself.
Yeah. The publicly viewable trademark application, which was originally filed in November of 2023, lists. So I guess just a list for a moment here, for folks who don't know. So you own a trademark. Whenever you apply to have a trademark, rather I guess when you apply to get a trademark, you have to specify what your business is, what your quote goods and or services are.
Okay.
I don't remember when I filed for my trademark for the podcast, for example. There was nothing great for it. I think it was like, digital entertainment on computerized platforms for listening in cars and radio. It's such crazy ass shit. But anyway, so at Blockbuster, this new one, because they already have trademarks for the stuff they used to do, one's for renting videos, one's for certain, selling merch. I saw one where that they had filed so they could make an eyeshadow and stuff like that. So but
blue and yellow, one for each eye.
And then you blink and I don't know, it looks more 3D or something.
Green.
Looks green, yes. Well, if you turn your head.
Very fast.
Flick, 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 flick.
Anyway, the one that was filed in November of 2023 and only being, sort of reported on now is for nightclubs, amusement centers, entertainment services in the nature of an amusement center attraction, end quote, as well as, quote, bar and restaurant services, snack bar services, end quote.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, although it was filed in November of 2023, a recent application from, I believe it was in October, rather, in connection with the application, the attorneys had filed for an extension for the deadline that they, by which they'd have to provide certain documents. Mm-hmm. So even though it's a couple years old or a year old at this point, it seems like they're asking for more time to file documents to get this approved.
Okay.
Maybe that's why folks noticed it, even though it was originally filed a while ago. I don't know.
Huh.
So whatever made it percolate to the top. But,
yeah.
Yes.
Now, this is what I find more interesting. Because that's, all right, I guess, you guys going to a Blockbuster restaurant / nightclub / bar / skating rink?
Only if I could find my original Blockbuster card and go and say, can this get me things free?
I love how you say that as if you don't know exactly where it is.
Well, Kat, you actually owe some late fees. Thank you for bringing your card.
My God.
They have accrued with interest. Yeah. Therefore.
Yeah, did you guys get dinged in 2010? I did. They sent shit to me asking for money for rentals for movies either I had never rented or I had returned 10 years earlier.
In 2010, you got dinged?
Yes. They did this to a lot of people. So as part of their liquidation or whatever, their bankruptcy, I think they sold the asset of money that was owed to them by people to another company. And this was
tried to claim.
It was a collection agent. And I don't remember all the details, but it was shady. They basically took the name of people whoever rented at Blockbuster and were just saying, oh, well, where's that copy of Pet Detective you never brought back? You owe us now $1,500.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a lot of.
How about if I ship you a fresh copy of Heather's and we call it even?
But it turned out to be in part shady, I recall. Anyway, we wrote back and said, or called and said, this is made up. Mm-hmm. I think there was a class action lawsuit against these people too. I don't know. Maybe I made that all up or had it in the street. But this is another. So this is what I did. I dug through the trademark application to see, well, what else is Blockbuster up to? They also filed for some other things that aren't being reported. And this is true. I didn't make these up, John. So settle down.
Okay. All right.
They also said one of their goods or services is, quote, for downloadable software for enabling users to receive, accept, view, purchase, sell, and exchange non-fungible tokens.
Oh.
So Blockbusters looks like it's trying to do that. Also, for, quote, providing a website featuring financial information in the field of cryptocurrency.
Wow. Okay.
And while those are,
NFTs and cryptocurrency.
Atari went down that path as they were trying to figure out what they're going to do with their new company. Oh. You might recall they haven't totally given up on it. They have steered away from NFTs and stuff and crypto, blockchain stuff. And there's talk of Atari hotels coming. So it's not so far from this Blockbuster thing. It's almost like, the Blockbuster trademark holder said, well, work for Atari. They're nostalgic. Let's give it a shot and try all these things that, by the way, Atari has kind of put on the back burner now and focused on their retro aesthetic, but interesting.
Yeah, I would love to see a study that shows what portion of our generation is into NFTs, that buys into that shit. I feel like that's younger people mostly. Yeah. I don't think old people are even falling for it. They're buying gold and, stocking up their basements for the apocalypse. But younger people seem to think it's a new kind of currency that we need to get involved in.
Well done. I'd already forgotten. Well done, Kat.
That's the only thing Kat's going to focus on now. Like she's got to win.
I was going to say I'm having trouble following.
Stop, Kat, stop.
But I missed one apparently because
Okay,
Marcus and Karen are
is that right?
Kat's like, I'm listening to the words, but not the sentences.
Yeah.
I'm sorting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like whatever. I mean, they're doing whatever they can. I guess in a sense, creating NFTs obviously is a low cost of entry for them. I suppose, unless they're creating their own Bitcoin, then that's a whole other disaster. Anyway, whatever.
Huh.
But here's something more interesting though. And again, so along with that application I mentioned for the restaurant and the nightclub and all that, these were filed a little short time ago, but they've been asking for extensions for the deadline, including this one that they also just recently asked for more time. They want to also quote another good in service they've applied to offer is quote streaming of audio, visual, and multimedia content in the nature of audio and video material via the internet. End quote.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, what is it? 10 years too late? 20 years too
late
late?
to the game. A little late. Let's jump on that bandwagon.
What was the nail in our coffin? Oh, yeah. Netflix.
Right.
We can do that too now.
Yeah, we only gave them a 20-year, 15-year.
Yeah.
Well, they've been around for 20 years now. But,
Right.
But the digital for what, 10, 15 years?
They were observing to try to perfect it themselves.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Right. Oh, now we've learned all the things. They've really,
We've learned
Adam
not to
Sandler
live
is the
stream.
key. Got it.
Yes.
And we've learned not to live stream a famous boxer and, whatever.
Right. But they can't get Adam Sandler because he's already tied it, so they get Rob Schneider, something like that. That's the Blockbuster equivalent.
Yep.
Is Rob Schneider the Blockbuster to Netflix's Adam Sandler?
I don't.
That's a pretty good analysis. That's not bad. That
Yeah,
comparison's okay. That's good. Mm-hmm.
I don't get the Adam Sandler Netflix thing.
Oh, it's a multi-picture deal. He does all kinds of films with them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Many films.
I think it's a 7-picture deal or something. It was some really, it's one of the first of its kind for Netflix, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're so movies, but they do huge numbers because it's a new Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
For the same reason you might go to for the same reason you might go
all right,
to
I'm going to call it right now.
Blockbuster.
Let's stop with the secret word, all right?
There's no way it's going to stop.
Okay.
You know it's not
No,
gonna
it's
stop.
fine. I'm just kidding. We can keep doing it. Yeah. His brand alone. Yeah. I mean, you don't see them coming out in the theaters anymore. They got them locked up. Yeah.
You got it.
All right. Hey, another night. Oh, let me see what people wrote. Karen says, I gave you guys a shout out on a podcast. Oh, that's cool. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
It's called Retro Resurgence.
Okay. Check out Retro Resurgence.
Yeah.
Brendan says, Blockbuster was cool, but I preferred the small video store in my town where a stoner kid who knew everything about movies worked. Yeah, that is true, right? I mean,
Yeah, that was Kevin Smith you're thinking of.
Yes. And now he went on to great things.
That type of kid, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Unless you're from the West Coast, then it was Quentin Tarantino, I think.
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah, you did. You didn't really get that with Blockbuster, right? But let's see. Karen
Yeah,
also,
it was a corporate job, right? Like you probably had to pee in a cup to work at Blockbuster. You didn't
right.
to work at Bob's Video, right?
Yeah.
So-
yeah. Hey, another 1980s news as reported by Deadline: The Lost Boys. I made it to Last Boys. The Lost Boys musical sets spring 2026 Broadway arrival. We talked about this a long time ago, and quite honestly, I thought it was one of these things that were just going to go away.
Did you want it to go away?
No, actually, my kid, who's a creative person and works in the should we say, the arts or entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
They had already, they were working with their partner and talking to me. We were trying to figure out how to turn The Lost Boys into a musical and coming up with the thing. Just really, it was, so she had this idea a while ago.
Mhm.
So based on that and excitement for what, she was thinking about it, yes, I'm interested in it. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There was a Karate Kid musical coming too, right? What happened to that? I don't know. Anyway, so with regard to The Lost Boys, anyway, it's a musical adaptation of the classic 1987 vampire film, of course. And it'll arrive at Broadway next spring at the Palace Theater. The announcement was made by producers James Carpinello, Marcus Chait, and Patrick Wilson. And that Patrick Wilson. No casting's been announced yet. The musical will feature direction by Tony Award Michael Arden. I don't know. And a bunch of creatives are involved who I don't know. They have great credits. So to that extent, they've got a bunch of fantastic, experienced people behind it. Of the greatest interest and most comfort to me is, and I think we talked about this last time, is that the book, so that's the words spoken and often includes the lyrics that are sung. The book is written by It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia writer and executive producer David Hornsby, along with Chris Hoke. So that's exciting because, like even according to the producers who said, quote, David and Chris have done a remarkable job of honoring this classic film and its beloved characters, creating something new and unique for the stage that will excite the diehard fans of the movie as well as those being introduced to this timeless story for the first time. So honor the classic film and the beloved characters as well as creating something that's hasn't been done before. So that's cool. That's what John's always talking about is the formula.
Yeah.
Musicals are a weird beast in that no matter the source material, there is a path to make a good musical out of it, I think. Like, you mentioned, like, what can you do with The Lost Boys? I don't know the right answer, but I'm sure there's a right answer. There are, but it's almost like the stage productions of existing IP fall on one side or the other pretty dramatically. They're either surprisingly great or unsurprisingly subpar. And I think it really just comes down to what the premise is. No matter what, if you pick the wrong path, no matter how hard you work, no matter how good the talent is, no matter how great the book is, if you just have chosen the wrong path and didn't quite find that the through line, there's no saving it. But if you do, you almost can't do any wrong. It's a weird beast, but one that intrigues me. It's why I continue to enjoy it. No matter what, I'll watch a bad one too. So
I was going to say you like any musical, John, right?
I'll go. If I like it, I'll go see it. Yeah. The act of being in a live theater is even a bad show.
Yes.
There's a certain energy that you just can't replicate any other way. Of course you'd like it to be a good one, but I'll see a whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, just to see once.
Yeah, I agree. I do too. Enjoy them to that extent. Yeah, I don't know. I think I love the story in the film. I don't know if there's a way to. I think, however, I was going to say there's a way to carve it in a way that fits into a musical. I think it's maybe got the stuff already.
Yeah,
I hope they're not going to rely heavily on gimmicks. Like we can have them flying around on wires during that scene, and we got to do the bridge thing where they're hanging. All right, focus on the story. That stuff will be, an extra little polish or something.
Yep. Well, it sounds like there's enough people with good cred behind it. That's hopeful.
Yeah. With regard to the music, the music and lyrics. Oh, so the lyrics are going to be also done by this group. It's a group called The Rescues, and I'm not familiar with their music, but they released their major label debut back in 2010, an album called Let Loose the Horses. It received critical acclaim at the time, and they've also got some sound-tracked memorable moments, according to this press release, in every corner of music, film, and television. I guess that means folks have cribbed their music or used their music for parts of their scores.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. I took a listen to some of their music on YouTube. I'm not going to play it here because we'll get muted or whatever, but it's kind of folksy, and I was like, I don't know. Kind of reminds me of The Outsiders, which I want to see. I would love. And by all accounts, it's fantastic. But if you remember, we did listen to some of their music, and I was like, I don't know. It seems appropriate for the time and setting, The Outsiders. I don't know that folk music is what I imagined for the Lost Boys, that soundtrack, had a lot of rock and roll and new wave leaning, joints on that soundtrack.
They're kind of a biker street gang, but don't have, instead of bikes, they have fangs. It's like that's their, they're bad boys. They're outsiders. No pun intended, back to the Outsiders. But I mean, the Lost Boys are a gritty gang. And so it's not like folksy, hey, gosh shucks, kind of what you expect from that. Doesn't mean just because that was their first album doesn't necessarily mean that's the only style they do, though. So I would hope they could expand their range for this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping too. And aren't they going to include any of the original songs?
What I've read, no, not necessarily. In fact, what they said is they've written a bunch of original songs and they've even tweaked some of their own songs, the Rescues, to fit the musical. But no mention of using any of the songs from the film. No.
I don't know that any of the songs in that film are like, you gotta have it. They're of the time. It's not like you couldn't do the Breakfast Club without Don't You Forget About Me. Like, it was like, that's got to be their kind of thing. But I can't think of any song in Lost Boys that like, well, that's absolutely, when I hear that song, it just screams Lost Boys to me. So maybe you can get away with, different soundtrack.
What about
saxophone? There needs to be a saxophone player. As Brandon pointed out, there has to be a saxophone solo by a muscled up guy.
A beefy, oily sax player. Yep.
Yeah. What about Thou shalt not fear? Cry, little sister.
Right.
And that's Lost Boys iconic.
That is.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yep.
But it's going to be something else now, apparently. So
maybe not so iconic.
Yeah, with regard to the music, Chad writes, to get rid of the Lost Boys musical, just have Corey Feldman singing it.
No.
Yeah, could he reprise his role? That'd be hilarious, wouldn't it?
Oops.
Karen agrees, saying Corey's singing is rough on the ears. It's not even his singing; it's just his whole shtick, right?
Yeah.
The original film
He always looks like he needs a bath all the time. Doesn't he?
Yeah. I don't know if is he doing like an Andy Kaufman kind of thing, but just really shitty, or does he really think he's talented? I can't tell.
I don't give him that much credit. I don't think he's smart enough to do that. Well, clever enough. I won't speak to his education. He's not clever enough to do that.
Yeah, well, speaking of Corey Feldman, the original film that came out in 1987, which was directed by Joel Schumacher, and it's kind of a horror comedy. It's sort of light on the horror or scares, but it's done really well. I mean, what he chooses not to show is like Spielberg's work in Jaws, the first Jaws. I think it's fantastic. You never really, at the end you do, but most of the movie you don't ever see them flying. You're not really sure exactly what's going on for a period of time. But in addition to Corey Feldman, of course, it starred Jason Patric, Diane Wiest, Corey Haim, the other Corey, Kiefer Sutherland, Jamie Gertz, and Ed Herman as well. And you know what it's about. You love that movie, right, everybody? If you don't, go watch it. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's really fantastic. I love that movie.
It's on my rewatch list because I saw it a long time ago. So I want to do it again.
I remember I saw it when it came out. It was with my first girlfriend. My first girlfriend.
Oh.
He was
No. I think we were freshmen in high school. We were freshmen or sophomore in high school when it came out. And it was like, I might have been the first date I've been into movies with a girl by myself, seeing this movie. And at the time, I really had a hard time, like, with jealousy, like feeling like it's probably myself. It was a reflection of my self-esteem, like I'm not good enough, or wow, does she really like me? I mean, how could she like me? She's pretty because I remember she was a huge fan of The Doors, and there's that I think is it Susie and the Banshees who does the cover of the Doors song?
Oh, I don't remember.
People Are Strange at the beginning. It's the opening song, and she's like,
"Yep."
Oh, and she melts, and I'm like, fucking Jim Morrison and Susie and whoever's singing. That's not Susie and the Banshees. I don't remember. Someone will remind me.
Just leverage that, Will. Just hop in and start singing right along.
Yeah, I was so shy back then. I couldn't sing in front of people.
Oh, no way.
Surprisingly, the movie at the time it came out had middling reviews. Of course, like most every other movie in the 1980s that we ever talk about, it is a cult classic or has a huge following now. It's actually had some sequels.
Yeah, I haven't seen those.
And some tie-in novels and comic books.
Yeah. You know, it became big because of Blockbuster.
Yeah.
You could go and pick it up and rent it on, Betamax if you were wholesome, VHS if you were filthy.
Yeah. Well, it might be the opposite. Well, no, then that would be the porn version, I guess.
High quality porn.
And of course, I think we could safely trace back the contemporary representation of vampires as sexy in modern pop culture and since because of the Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had, a Frank Langella was kind of a hot vampire back in the 1970s when his Dracula came out, maybe. But he still had the cape on like Bela Lugosi. Now you got guys wearing mesh shirts and leather pants, spiked hair.
Yeah, it created that Twilight fork of the vampire mythos, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
You had Buffy, shortly thereafter, and then, and on. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Paul Reubens, he was in Buffy as well as a vampire. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. All right. Hey, let's talk about that, right?
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
I'm so thirsty today.
Yeah. Is that lemon helping?
Yeah, I think so. Kyle says, I want to be conky for the secret word, please. Now, conky gave the secret word, right? It came out of conky. Is that what you mean?
wait,
Kyle, I want to pull the word out of you?
Ooh, maybe he. Ooh, careful. So he wants to
This
be
is moist.
Yeah. Shake it off first. Nathan says, yes, Cry Little Sister is iconic. Yeah. How could you do without that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Karen says, Corey was on The Masked Singer last fall. Oh, no. Really? His cat costume was really cute. They must have clocked him like immediately, right?
Did the mask help any?
Yeah.
Perhaps it muffled him a little bit, so it was hard to understand.
Was Corey Hellman... I just mashed them up. Was Corey Feldman dressed as Corey Haim? Is that how he was in disguise?
Right. You'll never guess this one.
Yeah. You were portmanteau man tonight.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Inadvertently.
Yes.
Brandon says Jamie Gertz was a big crush. So pretty. Yeah. She's cute. Chad says, got to give Laserdisc some love. Yeah. You know what we had before Laserdisc was the CED. It was, giant disc format like a laser, but it was unlike a laser that read it. Before that, it was like a vinyl. It was like a needle, like a stylus that would read the data. Yeah, and that was a higher quality also than
vaguely remember
tapes.
that.
Yeah.
Never saw it or had it or don't even see it anymore. Like I'll still see laser discs in vintage stores. I don't see CEDs. Yeah, I remember the video on vinyl. I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, laser disc like eradicated it. I think even VHS probably eradicated it as well because we had that in Betamax before we moved to VHS, and then that was that. It was over.
Yeah.
Hey, another 1980s news. We're taking a sweet ass time with this show today. This is not good. We're really behind. Maybe I got to cut a story. I don't know. In other 1980s news, as reported by Billboard, Dolly Parton, an original musical, is going to get its Nashville premiere. So Dolly Parton's also got a musical coming up. And it's going to premiere in Music City before heading to Broadway in 2026. The musical brings Parton's life to stage and her enormous breasts. It will launch a 4-week limited engagement at Belmont University's Fisher Center for the Performing Arts this summer. Preview performances start July 18th, followed by the opening night on August 8th. The musical will run through August 17th. You see, I was thinking all right, so we're going down to SFGE. Is there a way that I stop there and then the way there or way back?
SFG is early this year, though. It's in June.
Yeah. It's
not in July.
Yeah.
Oh, you're kidding.
No kidding.
Oh,
End of June. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's like a full month early then, right?
It is. It is just about.
Yeah. It falls on my birthday this year. Ooh.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh.
Expect extra hugs, John.
How?
How? Yeah. How could there be more? You're like, I'm just looking at you. Cat's already just on you.
Right.
How could I get more hugs? She hasn't left.
Challenge accepted. Right.
Yeah.
I am on this.
Hold on to you.
Drag like a
like a child.
I asked him if he could do that last year when he could barely walk himself. I said, you can walk around like this, can't you?
Sure.
Back to Dolly Parton. She made the announcement about her musical during a press conference held at Belmont. Why do they have me repeat this? At Belmont's The Fisher Center. Why would I repeat that? We just said that. Do we even need any of this? Parton is a native Tennessean and has lived in Nashville for 60 years. Wow. Per Parton, she says, quote, I have always wanted to do my life story as a musical, and I just thought I wanted to see it done while I was still around to be able to oversee it and make sure that it's done properly, the way I would want to see it. Quote.
Nice.
That makes sense, right? I mean, yeah. Kudos to her.
Hoping for a like coal miner's daughter caliber raw deep dive into her early life. I mean, we got that with Loretta Lynn. She did it in her songs already. And certainly Dolly has some of that, you know, her days being poor, you have like Coat of Many Colors and things like that. Right. But she doesn't have that signature, you know, my life kind of song. And, you know, first of all, you know, you're going to get all the best songs because Dolly's behind it. You're going to get Dolly's song. So no problem there. But original songs, I can only imagine going to be something in there that's going to be emblematic of summarizing her life and career. I'm really excited about it. She's basically, she's like a superhero come to life, like with her good works and her benevolence and her outreach. And remember when they had all those fires in Tennessee and she basically like paid everyone's mortgage while they're rebuilding or something for several months. She uses her money in ways that like Batman would use his money. It's just like incredible. Yes. It's just really just like selfless. So what a figure.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think if
what a
Dolly,
figure? Nice.
Do you think if Dolly Parton was fighting crime at night in disguise, that anybody would be able to figure out that it was Dolly?
They figure it out. Yes.
That's not the secret word, Kat. Trying to make have her own thing going on there.
I guess I'm not conky.
No, I'm pulling stuff out of
how tight the costume was is what it comes down to. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm moving on.
Okay.
Here's more good news. The musical will feature music written by Parton, as John has teased, with a book by Parton and Maria S. Schlatter. And it will be directed by Tony Award winner Bartlett Sher. Parton noted that in addition to some of her most famous songs, the musical will also feature new music that she composed. Just like you said, John. Yeah, I know, right?
I miss every single one of them.
Hits out of there, yeah.
I think I missed two, actually. I think there was one in there.
Additionally, Parton has launched the Dolly U program. Now, this is what you're talking about, John. It's putting her money where her mouth is, so to speak, or doing, good. It's just so heartwarming. Like everything about this woman, right? She launched this Dolly U program, which is an immersive educational partnership with Belmont University, at the university at which the show will premiere, that will allow students opportunities to participate in aspects of the production, working alongside with the professionals that are putting it together. And everything, it seems like from running crew to helping with the marketing. I mean, seriously.
That's excellent.
I'm unsurprised.
Right.
That's on brand for her. Yeah.
I don't
so cool.
know that I'll get to see it in Tennessee, but I would love to see it on Broadway or tour. It's definitely one of those musicals that I would already know I want to see just because, like you're pointing out, just in love with her. So, Karen says it was in all the teen magazines. Oh, Lost Boys.
Lost Boys.
I was too young for R-rated movies and scared of blood stuff. I do want to watch it, though. Karen, stop watching this right now. Go watch The Lost Boys. Paul Reubens was so funny in Buffy, Brandon Dolly is an American treasure. Everyone loves her. Marcus, Will, how could they possibly know it was Dolly? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. All right. Hey, another 1980s news. As reported by Variety, Steven Spielberg wanted an E.T. sequel and then stopped the studio from making one. So E.T. the Extraterrestrial
confusing
opened in theaters in 1982. And not only was it the highest grossing movie that year, but it also surpassed Star Wars to become the highest grossing movie ever at the time. So, of course, the studio wanted to make a sequel. And at first, director Steven Spielberg wanted one, too. Well, Spielberg, who recently reunited with his E.T. actor Drew Barrymore at the TCM? Turner Classic Movies. at the TCM Classic Film Festival, said he once considered the idea of making a sequel to the cultural phenomenon. Spielberg said, quote, "I flirted with it for a little bit, just a little bit, to see if I could think of a story. And the only thing I could think about was a book that was written." That's not right.
I noticed that.
Quote is wrong. Yeah. Book that was written a book that was written called The Green Planet, which was all going to take place at E.T.'s home, end quote. Yeah, the book of The Green Planet, you might be familiar with this. We had heard rumors. I remember at the time hearing rumors that there was going to be a sequel. I didn't know it was going to be based on this book, but what we had heard was that it was going to set or take place rather on E.T.'s home planet. Right. And that's what this book is. It was released in 1985 by an author named William Kotzwinkle, who actually previously wrote the novelization of the first film. But E.T. returns home to discover it's not what he remembers leaving. Meanwhile, he continues to watch Elliot grow up from across the galaxy. Ooh. He's getting so old now, muscular.
Oh no!
Is he lifting now?
Oh, now he's playing the sax. Was it an alternate plan for the original or a potential shelved sequel? I heard that had to do with like another alien that was like an ET hunter.
Oh,
like a violent one.
Right. Yeah.
There was another potential sequel thing I heard, or maybe it was canned for the original. Anyway, but like going to ET's planet, I always thought that completely changes. Look, if you see Star Wars, if you go see Star Wars 2, I know it's Star Wars 5, doesn't mean go see the next Star Wars, you want to see the same people in the same outer space with the same bad guys kind of doing the same stuff with a continuation of that story. This would have been so divergent from what made E.T. so beloved, which was this kind-hearted, though oddly powerful but vulnerable fish out of water character. It's just like in the universe of E.T. is all it would have been. It wouldn't really been, I guess, a sequel legally, but it wouldn't have been a sequel to that. I don't know how you follow that up. And I think Spielberg was right to finally go, yeah, not really. We can't really follow that up.
I agree. I don't think the long distance relationship between, E.T. and Elliot would have worked.
I don't think so, huh? Get a look at this kid, though. My gosh, he's a man now.
He could be in the Lost Boys.
I mean, when I see him, I'm just like, ouch.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Leaves little tracking chips in the Reese's Pieces to help him.
What?
Yes.
Eat the Reese's. Eat the Reese's. Come on.
Eat them.
Oh, one at a time. Ooh.
This is so creepy.
Yeah, E.T., cut it out. All right. Anyway, but when the Oscar winner ultimately decided that a new E.T. film would not be good, he had to fight the studio to keep one from being made.
I heard there was a new one there. Sorry.
Oh, I missed it. Good job, John.
I was late.
And because he didn't have control over the IP, fighting the studio wasn't an easy task. Spielberg said, quote, "Before E.T., I had some rights, but I didn't have a lot of rights. I didn't have what we call the freeze, where you could stop the studio from making a sequel because you control the freeze on sequels, remakes, and other ancillary uses of the IP. I didn't have that. I got it after E.T. because of its success," end quote. So yeah, but please, you can't make this movie. I'm telling you. No, we can though. Oh, come on. And he's like a cat on John, just in the head of the studio. All right, then I live here. I live here now. All right, Steven, fine.
Let go already.
I spent the last 90 seconds trying to think of a filthy spin on Phone Home, and I just couldn't. So,
Well,
I'm let it go.
You guys had the whole finger thing go in one episode. What was that all about? I don't even remember.
Cat.
Yeah, cat. I don't remember.
What's wrong
that
with
at all.
you? It's disgusting.
You can't prove anything.
Never.
That's a bunch of lies.
Help me, guys, in the comments.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Phone Home. Hey, Elliot. It's me, E.T. What are you wearing? There, he phoned home.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, yes. Okay, there you go. Spielberg's E.T. held the record for highest grossing film for 11 years until it was surpassed by the director's own Jurassic Park. It also earned 9 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture and Best Director, and won 4 prizes. The back-to-back success of Raiders of the Lost Ark and E.T. made Spielberg Hollywood's biggest there's a lot of B's in here. Made Spielberg Hollywood's biggest blockbuster. He should have made Blockbuster the secret word. Blockbuster director.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. All right, look, we're doing good. Back on good on time now again. Now we're too short. I got to add some stories in.
Are
I
we?
got to go to the trash can.
Wait, what? Oh, yes. There he goes. Russell.
All right, finally, in 1980s news, as reported by The Hollywood Reporter, Paul Reubens explores Pee Wee Herman and his own identity in a new documentary. Pee Wee as Himself, a 2-part documentary from director Matt Wolf, premiered at the Sundance Film Festival on January 23rd. Culled from over 40 hours of interviews with Paul Reubens and his friends and family, the 200-minute film paints a complex portrait of the artist behind the high-pitched, bow-tie-wearing character. Paul Reubens, who sadly died in 2023. You know, did I say this to Kate McKinney when we talked? No. I said it when I was recording an intro. It occurred to me that, you know, on our Facebook page, I never post about people passing, honestly, because it bums me out. And in particular,
there's way too many at our age.
Yes.
It's way too many. It would be all you cover. Yeah.
That's it, John. Not only does it bum me out, but it's a reminder of all that's to come because we're just at that age. Yes.
Yep.
But I posted about Paul Reubens because I don't know. I just did it. It was just like, I didn't even think about it. I just did it. And it was only after reading Kate McKinney's book, I Know You Are, but What Am I? That I started realizing how important he was to me in a sense. And, you know, when I talked to Kate, and you could listen to the interview if you haven't.
That's great.
You know, she talks about, in part, in her book, she talks about how the show was queer coded. And this is at a time when Paul Reubens was not out. He came out in this documentary. But the show was created by, written, produced, etc., by a lot of members of the queer community. And you didn't need to know that, though, as a member of that community, it turns out, to feel that the show empowered you to just be yourself. It made you feel a little bit better about being yourself, as different as society may treat you. Now, I'm not a member of that community, but in hindsight, reading the book, I realized it did that for me, too. That show and his character.
It's a good message for anyone. And especially when you're growing up, I don't care how cool you are, you feel like an outsider.
Right.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah. And even today as an adult, you can suffer from imposter syndrome or, you know, be in other situations where you think you're in over your head or you don't belong or, you know, but as a young person, I often felt that, like I gave you that example of, you know, that date I had early in my life.
Yes.
But yeah, Pee Wee, there was something about this guy, and in particular, and Kate really sort of said this, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Throughout most of the 1980s, and his movie came around the mid-80s, and the show came towards the later end of the decade. The examples of men in film and on television we got were Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, these muscular guys who were good with guns and fighting and all these things. At the time, that was not where my interests lie. I admired those guys. I had wished, you know, I could be a hero of some sort, but I more closely identified with this, you know, semi-effeminate man-child who just behaved however he wanted. And he expected the world to, you know, love and, you know, appreciate and respect him. And for the most part, they did. And so I did have.
In many cases, that character, I won't say I'll say that character because there really is a delineation between the two, but that character expected the best back from many of the people he interacted with and was surprised didn't know how to deal with it when they were acting like regular people.
Right.
He felt that he felt like he was the magic that made everyone feel childlike and whimsical. Whether he did or not, that was his expectation that you would see when he interacted with normies.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, Kat.
You're reminding me of when he would say, I meant to do that. And I always loved that. I just loved it. It just sort of, what did it do? It made it okay. You know, the oopses that we all do. It just sort of gave it a nice and funny twist.
Well, as I was about to say, you know, sadly he died. All right, in 2023.
Yeah.
Yep.
And before that, he had spent so many years as his alter ego that it became impossible to know who the man
Right.
was.
Right.
According to reviewer Daniel Feinberg, one of the many pleasures of the HBO documentary is getting a sense of Reubens as a separate personality. But the possibility never quite leaves your mind that quote unquote Paul Reubens is featured in the film and maybe as every bit as fabricated as Pee Wee Herman.
Wow.
So we get to some sense of the man that created this character, but even the documentarian in the audience is left wondering, how much of it is a put on? Maybe.
Yeah. When I first became aware of Pee Wee Herman, I'm not certain I knew that he was not just Pee Wee Herman as a person.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know when I learned that he had a different name. And I remember feeling a little like, oh, that's not who he is.
Did you just think he had some kind of, how do I say this in 2025? Some challenges, maybe? He was on the spectrum, maybe, you thought?
Possibly. Although I didn't have that even as
right.
to consider. I just remember being like, wow, he's something.
Like you, Kat, I just thought of him like Fred Rogers.
Yes.
Here's somebody who is unique and special. And before I realized he was a character, but once I did learn that, Paul Reubens, who's that? Oh, that's Pee Wee Herman. Oh, really? I didn't know that. And even then I thought, he changed his name to Pee Wee Herman? No. Separate people. One's a character, one's the man. Oh. And once I did finally come to the realization, the man, Paul Reubens, has been an enigma to me. I'm not sure. I've already put this on my to watch list because I'm not sure I know who Paul Reubens is without the mask.
Okay.
I've seen him as Pee Wee Herman a ton. I've seen him in other roles that he's played in other films, but that's not him, right? That's a character he puts on. I don't know that I've ever remember seeing him for any duration, a talk show or whatever. Maybe he's been out there, but seeing just the man be the man, he often would appear as his character in public anyway, if you would have him on a talk show or something. So it's going to be interesting to maybe see what he's like without the mask on, or maybe not. We'll see. But I'm intrigued just because of how emblematic he was of, late 80s, early 90s kind of culture, pop culture, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very much like Cassandra Peterson as Elvira.
Sure.
Right.
Yep. Always appears as that character in TV shows. She actually has a cameo as a different character in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yes.
But you wouldn't necessarily know it.
And they were friends, right?
That's right.
Not only were they friends, they both came up through the Groundlings. Together. Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And a number of folks who made it on the Pee-wee's Playhouse actually were Groundling members as well. And that's where he first developed that character. I want to see the documentary. Absolutely.
Me too.
In addition to interviews, the film includes footage of the elegantly androgynous young Reubens forging several of his constructed identities, experimenting with characters over the years, even well before Pee Wee Herman ever took stage. According to this piece in The Hollywood Reporter, the reviewer says the first episode is dominated by Reubens' storytelling and reflections, which include appearances by family, friends from his youth, college, and Groundlings. And that episode takes us through Pee-wee's Big Adventure, complete with an interview from Tim Burton, by the way, the director of that film.
Okay.
And the second episode picks up with Pee-wee's Playhouse and many of the show's key collaborators, including Lawrence Fishburne, Lynn Marie Stewart, and Natasha Lyonne, who at 6 years old made her television debut on the show. I did not know that. Of course, if you're paying attention to pop culture news as we do, and most notably, as we alluded to earlier, the Reubens revelation, most notably among the Reubens revelations is his first and only public discussion of his homosexuality, during which Variety says Reubens, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
It's about that time. A little early today, actually, for the cat drop off. You shouldn't be surprised at this point. It's going to happen.
John, you came from a TV background, film, TV news. I mean, this chick would not stand.
Nope.
I got to fire her husband. He's the IT guy. All right, anyway.
Okay.
Here we go. I don't know. Most notably, blah, 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 which Variety says Reubens brings, quote, All right, here she is. She's back. Let's get her in here, and then we'll continue. All right, I cursed you out. Now you're back. All right.
Actually, he cursed out your husband?
Yeah, I did. I said, we got to fire the IT guy. That's husband. I blame him. All right, here we go. Most notably among Reubens' revelations is his first and only public discussion of his homosexuality, during which Variety says Reubens brings, quote, intimate, richly moving context to his reasons for remaining so long in the Hollywood closet, end quote. Yeah, and really, and I got to tell you, it's a real bummer to me, because as we were talking about how many people, including members of his own, queer community and people that are just weird nerds like myself, felt empowered to be themselves, that this man felt like he couldn't be. Right. And the explanation he gives is that ultimately, when Pee-wee became this phenomenon, he was now living for Pee-wee Herman's career and not for Paul Reubens' career.
Yes.
And he continued to do that. His friends obviously knew him better than the public did, but he continued to do that until he died, and only, makes these revelations posthumously. It's really bums me out. But
yes.
But after we all got over the hump, it's unfortunate that he felt that way, because after we all got over the hump of understanding man, character, these are two separate things, we were a fan of Paul Reubens as Pee-wee Herman. In his mind, it almost felt like he lost his sense of self to the character. Mm-hmm. And, we didn't think of it that way. Once we knew who he was, we understand character and actor. But he was, maybe it was just so much a part of him, so much that he never let go of it. Like I said, he'd be on talk shows and stuff, and he would do that. Mm-hmm. Maybe he was uncomfortable in his own skin, but he was comfortable in Pee-wee's skin. Mm-hmm. So he was less vulnerable. I can imagine that probably. I bet we hear something to that effect in this documentary.
Yeah. It must have served him somehow to have
certainly
those things compartmentalized like that.
Right.
Just so separate.
Everyone's a fan of Pee-wee. There's no feeling inadequate there, right? Yeah. They love him. They might not love Paul, but they love him.
Yeah.
You remind me, after reading Cassandra Peterson's book, and then when I talked to her, I had asked her about that, because it occurred to me that maybe it occurred to me that
it's just the sound effect show.
I know, it's like a morning zoo all of a sudden. That based on her experiences in her early life, which were, she had some trauma early on, that she created that character as a armor. She felt it, and she said, "Yeah, I can see that. Probably right. Yeah." Mm-hmm. Sadly, in addition to what I just said being sad, all right, skip that. Let me take out sadly, because I just said sad. Although Reubens begins the documentary, unfortunately, although Reubens begins the documentary by saying he'd like to, quote, set the record straight on a few things, end quote, he didn't divulge to the filmmakers that he'd been battling cancer for close to 6 years when he sat down for the camera.
Wow.
Another one of his secrets. Reubens was supposed to sit for a final interview that would have delved deeper into his second arrest, which suggested that his collection of vintage erotica contained images of minors, something which, he disputed. But he was too sick to do it. And Pee-wee as himself, the documentary ends with a voice message left by Reubens a few days before his passing, lamenting how he'd been portrayed by those who didn't know him.
Wow. Yeah.
It's unknown when this is going to be available. It's from HBO, so I imagine it'll be on Max at some point and maybe other streaming services. But yeah, I really look forward to watching it, just because, again, I love the character and somehow vicariously love the man, even though I didn't know him. I guess we're just putting that in the world. I don't know. Right. We don't have a Pee-wee Herman now, right? Is there a Pee-wee Herman? What would it be? Or people like that, or even Elvira? These folks that just put their whole life into a character.
It's so difficult to do that now with social media. You would have to be off of it.
Right.
So the few times you would see Paul Reubens was when he was on broadcast television or in a film. You didn't have access to him all the time. So he didn't have to keep that mask up 24/7, only when he was on.
Right.
And I think today you can't do that, because no one has the energy to stay on as often as it would take to maintain a persona in this digital age and pursue a career and be recognized. It's just, I don't think you can repeat that now with the technology we have, because
Good
there's
point.
too much visibility into a person,
Good
a
point.
public person.
That's too bad, because it reminds me of all these assholes on TikTok and all this shit that are ruining magic.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Good
mean,
point.
there's
Yeah,
something
yeah, yeah.
magical about a fairy tale character almost
Just don't watch them.
living among us, you
Thumbs
know,
down.
and
Yeah.
it's the same kind of thing. It's just like, I don't know, just ruining
Yeah.
shit that seems magical and special. Assholes.
How about
Karen,
Svengoolie? Chad mentioned Svengoolie.
Svengoolie.
yeah, I guess. I don't know. That's true. But you know what? Even Svengoolie, though, he's a throwback to the, an older era. So we don't have like a contemporary version.
Right.
Right, like my Dr. Paul Bearer, that kind of creature feature kind of host. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Throughout the country, folks
most
had
of
their
those were
different-
regional. Elvira broke out of that regionality.
That's
But
right.
most everybody, like in their little pocket of the country, they had their guy, or girl. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Karen says Phil Hartman. Yeah, Phil Hartman was a member of the Groundlings and also co-wrote
Oh yeah.
Pee-wee's first stage show. He also played Captain Carl on the show, and he wrote Pee-wee's Big Adventure as well.
You know who I just thought of?
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about him, but I have seen him a little bit. Blippy on YouTube.
Oh gosh, Cat.
He-
You know about
Children's
Blippy?
entertainer. Yeah.
He just popped into my head as maybe he has a man-child vibe going
Yes.
on. Yeah.
I'll put an asterisk near that
Okay.
because you don't know, but prior to that, he has extremely not safe for work content.
Really?
That he experimented with first. I remember seeing
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I did not know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which doesn't seem to have affected his career the way Paul Reubens was affected by being in an adult theater doing adult things.
Adult theater. Yeah.
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 But yeah,
Well, now you kind of have like the guys, like there's a series of guys that have played opposite Blue on Blue's Clues that have
Yes.
become this caricature, but they were playing an exaggerated version of themselves, not a separate character really.
Right.
But they become that kind of free-spirited, wholesome kind of spirit that we saw in Pee-wee, I think.
yeah, and and that's a kind of a an interesting example because, like you said, they're playing an exaggerated version of themselves. But it turns out like Steve from Blue's Clues is really like Steve from Blue's Clues.
Yeah. Yeah.
These messages he records and stuff. It's so heartwarming.
Yes. I love that.
I think it's authentic. It's not a character. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Karen says the closest I can think of is when Matt from Dinosaur Dracula would dress up as Mad Matt at Halloween. I don't know any of these references.
Oh,
We'd put on red contacts and talk with a different voice. Do you know what this is, Kat?
No.
Okay. I thought you were okay. I thought you were oohing because you knew.
No.
She wants to see it, not because she knows.
I'm
I
curious.
want to see red contacts. Karen also says I had no idea when I was watching it as a child that Cyndi Lauper was Cherry. I don't believe that's true. But Karen also says and sang the theme song. That is true. Cyndi Lauper did sing the theme song. That's right.
I was not aware of that. That's
I don't
awesome.
believe she voiced any of the characters, though. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
All righty. I think that's it.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see. That was the show.
And our show is brought to you thanks in part to our early adopters, Rick Parker and Karen Flieger. And thank you especially to our Secret of Our Success level Patreon supporters, John Henderson, Brandon Greer, Nick Guillory, Marcus Taylor, Tony Great, and Matt Marino.
Yes.
I was hoping for
Okay,
some
what?
new names.
Can it count if she does it like that? It's not even.
It's kind of self-serving. Can you do your own secret word?
I just wanted to do it one more time.
It just has to come out naturally.
Sorry.
Even though I wrote all of mine
See,
down.
there you are, wrecking Kat's good time once
Yeah.
again.
All right, there you go.
There we go. I got it for you, Kat.
All right, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and a special thanks to Marcus, who actually increased his pledge to 1980s now. This guy, he's done it like twice now, I think. Just a fantastic,
Oh my gosh.
fantastic guy.
He has money he doesn't know what to do with.
Thank you, Marcus. Yes.
We'll tell you.
Thank you,
We'll
Marcus.
tell you what to do with it. It's easy.
Yeah. But thanks,
Thank you, Marcus.
thanks to everybody who helps us produce the show week after week by sending us a little bit of their dough. We thoroughly appreciate it. Many of them join us every week when we record live as well. And you can too. You can not only join us live, but you can help support the show by going to patreon.com/1980s. Now, any amount per month is appreciated. I think the lowest you can give is $1, but $5 would be fun too. $100 would be great. $1,000. You want to write a $10,000 check? We'll stop recording the show.
Just pay us to go away.
Yes,
Is what you're saying.
that's fine too. If you can't do that though, go to Facebook and share a post, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on the platform you're listening to right now. Tell a friend about this show. Write a review like John suggested earlier. Seriously, it has an impact. These
really does.
computers listen to the humans. Otherwise, they do what they want to do. We don't want that.
Right.
Wait, we got a couple of last notes here, or are we just moving on? Oh, Kurt says, whatever happened to that Cowboy Curtis guy?
A little Larry Fishman.
Yeah. I think he's doing okay, Kurt.
He's all right.
Chad says, I guess I have to go back to listening to Gen X. No, you don't. We have back episodes. There's something, Chad, something for everybody.
We have more back episodes.
And Marcus wants you to know that it's not true.
Okay.
I don't know what. Maybe that I said he was a wonderful guy?
No, that he has
Might be
money
he has
that he
too much
doesn't know
money.
what to do with.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right, there you
But
go.
then Sarah says, yes, it is.
Oh, maybe it is true. Oh.
Hmm.
Oh, this is,
Interesting.
all right. We got some work to do. Figure this out. And we will let you know when we talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
Look up in the sky. Pretty sure that's Dolly.
Oh, figured out. Wow. If she had that power, what would that seem like?
Oh my goodness.
Or would they think? Do you guys see what I'm seeing? Two Hindenburgs crashing into one another?
She's not mistaken as a bird
No.
or plane.
No.
It's not the Macy's parade.
Oh, that could be that. Yes.
Is that underdog? No. It's not.
This is like a parade balloon.
It's
That's
more
funny.
more poly purebred than underdog, but
I meant to show this to you guys, and I just realized I have it here and I didn't play it. As a reminder of where we came from Blockbuster in 1980s.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is,
Ooh, let's hear it.
I've never seen 10,000 tapes in one store.
There's so much kid stuff.
And I can keep them for 3 evenings.
Now this is a video store.
nice shirt.
Ordinary video stores don't even come close to Blockbuster Video. You've just got to see it to
Nailed
know
it,
what we
huh?
mean.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, what a difference. Blockbuster Video.
Come discover the Blockbuster difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the commercial is from 1986.
Oh.
Yeah, a bunch of douchebags.
They had
They
no
seem
idea
like,
what was
right?
coming.
All those people. Yeah, yes. We could time travel into that place. What if I told you that an alien was watching us change our clothes right now in this Blockbuster video store? Did you believe me?
Here,
E.T.
My
eat
name is
these little pieces of candy.
my name
So
is
we can keep
Elliot.
track of you.
Yes. For some reason in my head, I don't know if you guys have any weird random things like this stuck in your head, but I haven't seen a Blockbuster commercial in a long time. But I remember that What a Difference Blockbuster Video. But I remember seeing it in the 90s, and in my head, because I'm goofy, I changed it to Blockbuster Video. What a fucking difference. I don't know why, but I still in my head here. What a fucking difference.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know. It just is goofy and dumb and juvenile like I can be.
It's the
guess.
North Jersey in you.
I'm okay with it. I certainly wasn't in my head until you put it there.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, maybe you don't think
Right.
that way.
Right.
All right, hey.
I think it's
Yep.
the North Jersey
Right.
City influence
Could be,
there.
yeah.
Then there's the alternate version of Tears for Fears' biggest hit. That's similar, but
Okay. Shout.
Oh, you told us about
everybody
this.
wants to
Shout.
rule the world. Yeah,
Oh.
You told me about this.
I did. Yeah.
Yes.
The thing is, it works with all the other lyrics if you just change the chorus. It's wonderful.
Will's wondering.
Trying
you
to
gonna
remember,
tell him?
Trying to think back.
No, let him think about it.
Yeah. I'll think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let us know what you come up with.
Yeah.
Oh,
It would be.
I can tell you about Rosebud too if you want.
Oh no.
I think Kat knows about Rosebud already, doesn't she? You know about Rosebud.
Yeah.
I do and I don't. Like I've never watched the
Oh.
Yeah, I should
movie.
say.
but
Well,
I've
Citizen Kane
heard-
2 was like a sketch.
Oh yeah.
on
Oh yes.
SNL or
Yes, John.
something.
Right. What? Yes, John. That's right. You were going to tell me about this. I never called you back.
So we mentioned Citizen Kane on the last
Right. Yes.
episode, and
Yeah.
when I listened to the episode, it reminded me of, I think it was an SNL or Mad TV sketch called Citizen Kane 2.
Oh.
And effectively, it's a follow-up that picks up right from where the first one ended. Do you know this, Will?
I vaguely remember this. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't remember the premise though.
And so it kind of riffs on Orson Welles and his future, roles and persona. But so they're doing an interview, and they're like, so the last thing he said was Rosebud, and he died. That's right. He said Rosebud. And then he coughed and wheezed a little bit. And then he said, ennui. Oh, so Rosebud was not the last thing he said. No. So he said Rosebud and then said ennui and then he died. Well, hold on. Actually, he said Rosebud. Then he coughed and wheezed a little bit. And then he said ennui. And then he coughed and coughed and coughed and cleared his throat and said, with mustard. So in essence, he was asking for a roast beef on wheat with mustard, not actually talking about his childhood sled.
Right.
He was just Orson Welles ordering a sandwich.
Right.
Yeah. So it was the twist.
Not even intended for the film. Yes.
No. He just roast beef on wheat, mustard.
Mustard.
That's it.
There's so many crazy stories about him. You would believe it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Joe
That's
says.
Says K2.
Joe says Blockbuster was great and all, but some of these mom and pop ones had a lot of off-the-wall movies and stuff you couldn't find at Blockbuster. I'm not talking about the adult room in the back with the curtain on it either. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. You see some crazy stuff. Well, part of Blockbuster's popularity, and I think that Trash Guy, why he got involved also was because it was family friendly. They didn't have adult films. And so, they did have some kind of standard where they wouldn't have certain types of movies.
Yeah.
Not just adult, but like as you're pointing out, maybe hard R stuff or NC-17 or really graphic violence. I don't know. I don't know what their standards were, but yeah, you're right, Joe. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
When I grew up, the city I grew up in, Jersey City, at least the neighborhood of the city I grew up, the Blockbuster came late. I think it must have been. It was probably in the mid '90s or something. I don't remember. Actually, that might not even been Blockbuster. But there were mom and pops places we went to. There were at least 3 where we got all our
Movie
stuff
Gallery was the one I went to the most, which was also a chain, I know, but was substantially smaller, and it didn't have the restrictions. So like they had a beaded curtain room. They didn't prohibit that kind of stuff. But I remember my high school girlfriend's mother had an in with the mom and pop video store, and I'd be over at their house.
Nice.
And she would be on the phone with them midday on the day they receive shipments. Well, did you get in such and such? Turner and Hooch, do you have it? You keep one for me? Okay. She would call them ahead, and I always wondered if she actually had an inside track with, or just everybody called the little mom and pop store and everybody was told they'd set something aside, because they ordered enough of them probably. But she thought she was really don't worry, I'll get the movie. I know a guy. Yeah.
You're right. I forgot about that scramble to get a movie rented when it came out that Friday or Tuesday or whatever that.
You walk
day
into
was.
Blockbuster and it's just a wall of empty boxes.
Yeah,
You're like,
yes.
son of a bitch.
Keep moving. Son of a god.
Oh,
But you're right. I remember we would occasionally call a mom and pop store. Do you have such and such in? Will you hold it for me? I'm on my way. Well, we'll hold it for you, but 15 minutes, you're not here. Putting it back on the shelf. Okay, I'm on my way. Right.
and there was the other strategy, right, where you'd kind of hang out by the desk, waiting for people to throw the movies inside the little slot. What they drop off? What is it? Is it a copy of such and such? Right? Because here's brand new stuff back. Just hand it to me. I want it right now. Right?
You're
Somebody
right.
returned a popular movie, so you'd kind of vulture around the desk, waiting for some clunk clunk clunk. What is it? What they drop off?
Did you do that?
I'm sure I did at least once.
I did it.
Yeah.
You're right. Every time,
so
you're right, John.
funny.
You remind me when it wasn't until years later, like I mentioned, I lived somewhere else that we had a Blockbuster. It might have even been DVDs by that point. I don't know. But you're right. Every time I'd go to the cash register, I'd look through the little hole. You can kind of see maybe. Or you finally, when you're getting served, you'd say, "Is there anything in there? What's in there?" And they would check. No, nothing in there right now. I emptied it earlier. Oh, yep. I'll take that then. Yeah, you're right.
That's awesome.
And they always made you rent too many movies, right? So if you were buying brand new,
They
just
made you.
released, expensive, right? But I remember my movie gallery would have, I don't know, 3 for $5, 7 for $10. It's not like, oh, what a deal. I'll get 7. I can't watch 7 movies in 3 days.
Right. Yes. Yep.
That's how they get you, because I'm going to bring them back so I don't get the late fee, and I'm going to rent them again because I didn't get a chance to
It's like
finish.
25 movies for $5. 72-hour return.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great deal because nobody else is renting them. They're like, well, we'll get our 20 cents out of this movie
Mm-hmm.
today. Somebody take it home for a portion of $1. But I had movies just stayed in the car sometimes. I'm just like, all I'm doing is driving them around town for 3 days and then dropping them off, taking a tour of the town.
Yeah.
They didn't even come inside.
Karen
VHS
says you also,
Uber.
Karen also checked the return cart.
Yep.
Checked it first.
I'm just fostering that copy of, of Ghostbusters. Not gonna see it.
Yeah, Joe, we talked
care
about
of
the last Blockbuster earlier in the show. You're right. It's in Bend, Oregon. It's
Bend.
owned by a mom and pop. Tisher, I think is their last name, maybe. It's owned by Dish Network or something. So I think what you're thinking is Dish Network currently owns the Blockbuster brand. And so Dish Network is letting them, or Blockbuster, I suppose, via Dish Network, or is letting them have the store, use the branding, all the stuff I think that they were entitled to under their franchise, franchisee license, but they're not permitting anyone else to open any new Blockbusters.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
Grandfather didn't.
Yeah.
All right.
It's weird, right? It's like everything else. Whatever. Old man shouts at cloud. These experiences of actually having to go out in the world, be among other people, the hope of finding something you want but not getting it, or getting it. All these. I feel like we're having fewer and fewer, like we said earlier, magical. Maybe I'm overusing that. Experiences, special.
Just normal experiences. The only human interaction I get is when I go out to the grocery store or the department store. And now I don't even talk to people there because I go get my shit and I go and I go, boop, I scan my own stuff and I walk out with it. And I didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And when I go to lunch, I'll go now, and I'll order with my app. And they won't even say my name. I just see it appear on the counter and I go pick it up and I haven't talked to, I've said a word. I could be mute for all you know. I never had a chance to talk to a human.
And you ignore Marcus the whole time too, which is kind of weird. Like, why did he go? Why did he meet you there? But
I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. He just showed up. I didn't invite him.
Yeah.
What about at the Krispy Kreme drive-thru? Do you talk to them?
Yeah. I said, why didn't you answer the drive-thru is what I asked.
Oh.
I had to go inside to pick it up. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, really.
Yes.
Have a good night,
Realist
everybody.
time.
We will talk to you again next time. Be safe.